what can I say? God made me great. I've been sleeping on myself, now it's time to wait. He put a table in front of me, so it's time to pray. I'm in the walk mode, trying to make moves, get a breakthrough. Folks do what they don't do, you better stay true. Go cool, Super Saiyan blue, crush your goals, put that vision in the motion, staying focused is the clue.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? You are back with another episode of the Doing the Major podcast. This is episode 4. This is season 1, where we're talking about music, how to live with purpose, how to live with intention, and how to live to inspire. Again, we are chilling at the Dim House in Studio B. Today, we have none other than the man himself, one of Anguilla's GOATs, the legendary, the man that has a plan, the man that knows how to strum the right keys, the one that's next, the person, the leader, the pioneer, the apostle himself, Omari Banks.
Thank you for the introduction, my brother Denrai. I'm just happy to be here. I feel blessed to that you asked me to be a part of it. I mean, I saw what you're doing on social media.
Yes, sir.
I've been I've been a supporter of you, and I've been watching what you've been doing and just observing you as a young person to me. I mean,
Yes,
I
sir.
remember growing up in the church in Senegal,
Yeah.
Pastor Gum's church, and seeing you as a young man coming up. I've always admired you. I knew you from time you were a kid, man. Yourself, and of course your dad and the family, etc. So I'm just really proud of what you did. And when I saw what you were doing, I'll say, this young man gets it. In everything that you've always done, whether it was in the music, the hip hop stuff, I always thought that you had a focus and a kind of relevance. I mean, you understand the message,
Right.
and you try to tie it into what's happening right now. And I got to commend you on that. And I think it's an awesome thing that you're doing. I'm just happy to be one that you call me, and I'm just happy to support and just continue your vision and your excellent work that you've been doing. So I just want to commend you on the great job that you're doing, my brother.
And I appreciate that 100%, no doubt. And it's so important to play your cards right and, pursue your dreams, pursue your goals, and then just stay focused while doing you, because you never know who's watching, And as you share those sentiments, I also give you your flowers, man, because you've been a person that, you look at coming from church background, as you mentioned, but then being the first person to be on the West Indies cricket team, and then killing it in the music space. So I would see your Instagram, man, you traveling, you ministering, performing different places. And that's dope, in my opinion, So I've always wanted that for Vern Kanas, for myself, I've performed different places in the United States, but nothing compared to probably what you have performed, where you've performed and the stages that you've been on. So, man, I appreciate that. I'm glad that you're here, and I'm super excited to see what we're gonna, unfold and talk about, and the gems that's gonna be dropped on the Doing the Major podcast. So let's hop right into it, man. Mm-hmm. So, you're an artist. How long have you been doing music? Just walk me through your origin story, beginning, your inspiration, who inspired you. Just walk me through your origin story.
The story is long. I mean, long in the sense of that. I mean, everybody knows I grew up in a musical family. My dad being Banky Banks.
Yeah.
So I grew up where music was always around. I grew up with the band house. My dad's band house was below my bedroom. So that was the environment initially when I was first born, when it comes to music. So I would always be encouraged by that. I hated music, had drums around, when I hit on the drums. I think that was kind of one of the first things I kind of,
got onto.
Actually, before that was guitar. Because I gotta tell you straight up, in my baby book, my mother did a great job of kind of documenting my life in a baby book. I still got it home.
That's awesome.
And I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna be freaked out about this. My favorite toys as a child was a ball, a bat, and a guitar.
Wow. Wow.
I think it's fair to say, I've always been somebody that followed my passions.
Yeah.
And just to tie it back into what you mentioned, so music was always there from inception. So growing up in that environment, around music, seeing musicians come inside, outside the house, and just having a passion for sounds, you know what I'm saying? And,
right.
And at a very early age too, my dad was traveling a lot in music. So from the age of like 5 years old, when he was in Europe living at that time, my mom played a very big part in kind of keeping me in music as well. Because from the age of 5, 6 years old, I would perform in talent shows, perform in the Prince and Princess show 3 or 4 times. Did well in that best male performance. And I think I got a record for doing the most Prince and Princess shows in Anguilla. I did about the Crystal Rama, myself and Letitia for them, and we won that when I was maybe about 6, 7, 8 years old. We did the Prince and Princess show with Arisa one time. And then, and then every year for Carnival, when I was a kid, I would sing to the queens at Carnival. So I would sing Wind Beneath My Wings or Oceans Apart. I love songs, serenade the girls on stage. So that was kind of my upbringing from that age. And then see my dad, I remember at my 5th birthday, my brother Olaide and myself, my mother took us over to France when my dad was over there, living over there for a while.
Right.
And he had a show. And I knew a lot of his music from soundcheck.
Yeah.
I mean, from practice and rehearsal and stuff like that. And I remember going up on the stage. I could still remember that like yesterday.
Wow.
5 years old and just took the mic and started singing. So from that age, doing that, seeing that, my mother encouraging me to perform in different talent shows from here.
Right.
Daphne Jacobs, who was the music teacher in the high school, I remember from the age of maybe 6, 7 years old. She said she heard me sing at 5, but 6, 7 years old, I would go to high school and perform at the school choir.
Yeah.
And then when I got to high school, of course, Lennox, Vanderpool, the boys' choir and all that stuff. So music was always around. I was always taking part in music.
Right.
Loving music. The guitar side, no, that kind of really developed when I would say I had guitars. I would, like every kid, play air guitar before you learned chords. But my aunt Linda was actually the first person that taught me my first chords on the guitar.
Okay.
Yeah, she taught me a C, a G, a F.
Yeah.
And then I went home and like I'm kind of crazy like that. When I zoom in on something,
get it done, lock in.
I like lock in. I'm like notorious for that.
Yeah.
So I went home after learning those 3 chords and just engrossed myself in trying to get better at it. So, I mean, music is I think, if you grew up in the Caribbean, and just if you're a young person, especially growing up in that time, at least for me, music was always something that is part of the culture, whether it be you listen to soca music or as a hip-hop. For me, my experience, of course, growing up around a father who was in live music, that has always been my background in music.
Right.
Seeing musicians, Moon Splash Music Festival, and that kind of stuff. So I was always into musicians and music and actually playing music. So that's why the live thing always connects deeper for me. And just
the live experience.
The live experience. For me, that's always what it's about. So when you mention about my people that inspired me, there's always been people who play.
Gotcha.
Musicians.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, of course, I grew up in the 90s in my teens, where you would have whether it be a bit of the hip hop kind of thing, the Lauryn Hill. But I was always drawn towards the people who played. Although I would think, but I'm big on that. So that's kind of my musical upbringing, being around musicians and picking up things from here and there from them, being around people who you grew up listening to the records, whether it be Cat Core from Third World, you know what I mean? You see Toots and the Maytals, or you see Bunny Wailer, when Buju Banton came, you know what I mean? Just people who you admire. Just sometimes it's not even, it don't have to be a popular name, but just somebody who passed through when you're a kid.
Exactly.
And they're amazing on an instrument that inspires you.
Right.
And I think inspiration is so important. It has been, played such a big role in my life, and just sometimes observing and just taking the music, being a terminal to just accept the music when it hits you.
Right. I like that you mentioned the different artists that passed through when you were younger and the different artists that you met. And I'm pretty sure that these experiences kind of add to your creative ingenious, because you would have your creative genius, you would have heard different tones, you would have heard different runs, you would have just heard the presentation of music in various forms, which kind of add to your creative level,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I could still remember the first concert that I heard Third World perform in the village. I can't remember what year it was, but I would have been a little boy. I remember seeing Cat Core play the guitar. He had a white Strat.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking that is so amazing what he's doing. And even with my dad's music, when I would hear there was a guitarist from Anguilla, originally from, I think his family's from Anguilla in America, but he played my dad's original band named Ireno. I never got to see him in real life,
Yeah.
but I always heard it. And I was always
Amazed.
amazed by it as a child. I was like, who's this guy? I want to meet him.
Yeah.
And actually, when they came, they did the reunion. I was on tour playing cricket at the time. But I was always drawn to the guitar. I was always drawn to people who, you know what I mean, who rock out.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
That's just been a passion of mine, just to see people play and the musicality of it. You know, what I mean? Even before I could have do it myself, but I was always inspired by people who could do it. I think, as I said before, inspiration is the key. That's what pushes us to become who we want to be.
Yeah, and this is something that I learned later on in life because, you know, as an artist in the creative and in the Christian space, you know, you kind of feel like you just have to listen to other Christian artists and other people that are doing the same genre as you for your inspiration and your creative level. But then I realized like you're kind of limiting yourself when you do that. And I also experience a measure of guilt because it's like, man, they're gonna probably think I'm a heathen if they if they find out that I'm listening to this and that person. But really and truly, I plug in every so often to, you know, American hip hop, to the secular space, because I want to stay relevant as a Christian hip hop artist, you know? So I need to see and I need to hear what's the trend, you know, what's going on, what are they talking about, so that when I go to write my lyrics, when I go to present the gospel now, or when I go to make music, I don't sound like I'm from the 80s.
I'll put it this way, and it's not even about trends, it's about opening your musical mind.
Right.
Because for me, ultimately, people consider me a, let's say, reggae, not straight up reggae artist.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the music that I listen to right now, I hardly, unless it's maybe if I'm out, maybe in the circle of reggae. But generally, the music that I listen to is instrumental music, whether it be jazz, blues.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm literally on jazz music.
Yeah.
I listen to predominantly jazz, smooth jazz, blues music predominantly now.
Right.
Not saying that I wouldn't listen to a reggae song, but I'm saying when I'm looking for inspiration, when I'm home, when I'm driving here in the car, I'm listening to music that can inspire me, that can give me things outside of the stuff which I'm listening to all the time. Not saying that I don't always go back to reggae music or whatever, but generally even my style of music is not straight reggae. It's a mixture of blues, rock, jazz, fusion, folk music, singer-songwriter stuff. Yeah. So it has always been different to the traditional reggae music, and that's who I am.
Right.
I think ultimately that's what you do, because even my dad's music is still different than my music.
Yeah.
And I think as an artist, originality is your currency.
100%.
Is your currency, but the whole
originality is your currency.
Absolutely.
I like that.
Yeah, and as you mentioned before, and the way how you become original is not that you take inspiration and you just create something out of the blue that's totally new, but it's by you taking from different places.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when you get a bit of Miles Davis, when you get a bit of Wynton Marsalis, when you get a bit of John Mayer, when you get a bit of Stevie Ray Vaughan, when you get a bit of Carlos Santana, when you get a bit of Lauryn Hill, a bit of you know what I mean, Jay-Z. When you put these all together, sometimes it can be just a phrasing, sometimes it may be a melody, sometimes it may be a guitar chord. The way how it's just about taking from different spaces. As people say, there's nothing new that's under the sun.
Right.
But sometimes when we stick in a box, that kind of limits us.
Yeah.
And I think how we create originality is by us really going out there and just taking from everything that's around us.
Right.
And the only way that we could really create something, I believe, over a period of time is by us developing. I mean, the music that I would have created 10, 15 years ago,
not the same.
Would never be the same music that I create now, because my mind is open. I've improved on my instrument. I've improved musically. I understand different harmonies. I understand. You just have grown.
Right.
I think life is about growth, and ultimately, when you grow, and that's what music is. And if you're an artist, and for me, the idea of an artist is that you're painting a picture, whether you're doing hip hop or whatever genre.
Right.
And if you're painting a picture, ultimately you want to have a lot of different colors.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? And so for me, I listen to everything within the moral scope of who I am as a person.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
Yeah, within that moral scope. But I think you can take something from everything.
Right.
You know what I mean? Whether it be just the concept, the delivery.
Right.
And that's what I try to do. I have my own thing that's going on, and I just try to right now, especially as you grow, the whole idea is just to continue to just to tell my musical story
Right.
through my different experiences.
Right. 100%. So I mean, how long have you been? Well, I guess you've been doing this thing all your life, but in terms of like
Full time.
the brand Omari Banks, when did the brand Omari Banks OB? When did that start?
Well, as I said, I retired from cricket in 2011, 2012. And I always tell people, when you're playing sport, when I was playing cricket, I mean, becoming the first Anguillan to play international cricket for West Indies team was something that I dreamt about from the age of 8 years old.
Yeah.
So although I'm talking about music now, when I was that age, although I did music, all I wanted to do was play cricket. But to tie it back into when the brand OB from music start, I retired from cricket to do music. I didn't retire from cricket and then say, okay, I need to make extra cash.
Right.
What am I gonna do?
Yeah.
I literally, everybody knew me even when I was playing cricket to be the cricketer who traveled with his guitar.
Right.
And I guess you could say within the scope of everything that was happening around the cricket and what was going on, some of the things I didn't necessarily agree with, I started to play my guitar a lot more in my room. You know what I'm saying? So in a lot of ways, when I moved on, nobody expected me to move on from my cricket.
Yeah.
But I moved on with the idea of what I wanted to do in life straight away.
Right. Right.
So when I retired, when I said I'm not going to practice anymore, I'm just going to take my guitar and play music and go for it. People thought it was crazy. But I think that's where it really started. I made a
decision.
A decision to say, this is who I am.
Right.
And instead of walking around the cricket bat,
Right.
it's the guitar.
Right.
So for a period, people got to look at it like you're crazy. But you do it good enough, long enough, well enough, it becomes the identity. So from that moment on, 2012, from that day on, it was all music.
Yeah.
Nothing else was the focus about music.
That's awesome. So from 2012, pretty much the OB brand started. I wanted to talk about your experience with cricket a little bit later on, but since it popped up, I've always wondered what was that time like for you, where people celebrated you, the first Anguillan. Anguilla has a way of putting people on blast when they accomplish. They weren't with you in the journey. They don't know what you had to go through, but from the time you made it, they gaslight you and Anguilla, pro, strong, and free, whatever. So coming to be the first Anguillan to make the West Indies cricket team, right? And that probably went on for about a year or something like that.
Well, I played for West Indies in 2003. My last match was like 2006, 2007.
Okay.
Yeah, but my professional career in cricket was from 2000 until 2012. So basically 12 years of professional cricket. Professionally meaning Leeward Islands, professionally Somerset in England, which is professional cricket.
Gotcha.
And in the first World 2020 competition over in India.
Yeah.
Leeward Islands captain. I mean, so professionally. But for West Indies team, West Indies A team, I would have been around the circuit, let's say maybe 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
In that circle, and then retired. Yeah, in 2012.
Okay, so you were at it for a while. Of course, you had all the support. You had Anguilla backing you. I still remember seeing you on that Jeep when you got back from whatever it was tour. I still remember seeing you. They drove you around the island and all that stuff. When you decided that this is not the direction that you want to go with your life and pursue music, what was happening in terms of your inner battle and then the outside voices? What did that look like for Omari Banks? Because I'm pretty sure the people that you probably admired, the people that probably spoke into your life, you know, that encouraged you, as you referenced it a while ago. You said that they probably thought that you were crazy. You know, a lot of people probably thought you were cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but for someone that understands the journey of discovery and finding yourself, and understand how many ups and downs you got to go through and how many decisions that you try and fail, you got to get back up and keep going. For me personally, I understand that journey. So, but a lot of people don't understand that, you know? So what was that like?
Let me tell you, there's so much I could say.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna start by saying, I'm gonna take it back to even before I started to play for West Indies team. So my journey in cricket was, I started playing cricket, in my opinion, really kind of late. So I started playing maybe at 8, 9 years old, but I was always good at ball games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Baseball before that. So,
Yeah.
But so from the age of 8, 9 years old, I was inspired to want to become a professional cricketer.
Right.
And of course, you know, growing up in Anguilla, it's not easy, because
Right.
before that time, we had nobody who played international cricket. We had, of course, former coach Vern Kanas, who played professionally in England for Hampshire. At the time, we had like Lanville Harrigan. He played a couple of matches. Played for Leewards, and I think Alex Adams, before I played it, he had played matches as well for Leewards, and we played also together.
Yeah.
Right. So, but we hadn't had anybody who had played for the West Indies team, and I remember growing up thinking, just wanting even one of them just to make it. That was something like the whole of Anguilla wanted to do. And I mean, if one person made it, we all did it. You know what I'm saying? So during the course of to become a West Indies cricketer, I mean, it's a hard road, because I mean, when you think about it, even right now, and that's another story. There's so much I can say, but growing up in Anguilla, the facilities and the infrastructure is so bad, terrible, and sad to say, in terms of cricket right now, it's even worse. You know what I'm saying?
You don't really see nobody playing cricket anymore.
It's not even that I mean, the whole infrastructure of cricket is kind of changed in terms of, in the sense of, one, we're doing terrible here in Anguilla in terms of the infrastructure for the youngsters to come up and play. There's not much cricket in the primary schools. The cricketing park is underdeveloped and all that kind of stuff. And this has been for quite a while. But in terms of even to tie it back into when I started, we had a pitch and we had the nets and that stuff, but it was very hard. Sometimes you wouldn't have balls to practice. I mean, at times, I mean, we were blessed that during the time when I came up, we had like Vern Kanas, who was our coach at the time, and our coach, and he was the coach of the under 15s, under 13s, under 19s team. That he would come down when he came from England, and they at that time there was actually a little bit of a structure. So we had like people like myself, Shaka, Zachary Kenworthy, Richard Stevens, Marlon Martin. That's a host of us. Jamal Carter. Just there was a core group of us who had ambitions to play professional, and then the likes of like Jamal Manson, Linda, those guys. Well, they were not at that time, as they were a bit younger. Yeah. Right, but I'm saying during that time we didn't have great facilities, but we had at least
some kind of a support,
a structure,
right?
And because of that environment, I mean, we all had a dream. So that was something that was really good. We all had a dream that we wanted to, you know what I mean, pursue cricket professionally, and that was the kind of the environment that I grew up in. But for me, as I mentioned before, they would tell you themselves, I was definitely the most driven in the bunch. Sometimes sleep with my cricket bat, walk from West End sometimes to the Valley, catching lifts with my cricket bag, or whatever, and it was never an issue. When you hear people talk about, you the sacrifice, it's a sacrifice to do that, but if you got a passion, you're gonna do it, and that's what I had. So many times I would go up on the park, and even you don't have a net to practice, you don't have any bowlers to bowl, you bat by yourself. No. I would go on the volleyball court, and sometimes the people in government would cuss me for practicing on the volleyball court. But I say, I didn't care. I say, listen, I'm going to practice until y'all fix the pitch. Until y'all fix the pitch, y'all fix the next, I'm going to be in practice. So I've always a kind of determined guy, and when I put my mind to something, you know, especially when that's for sure, because if it's gonna be positive.
Yeah.
When I put my mind to something, and I know I stand on principle, and from a very early age, when I'm driven towards something, I go towards it, and you're not gonna stop me. And that's the kind of attitude you need,
Right.
especially when you're focused and you have something in mind. And that's kind of the attitude which I always had when I was growing up in cricket, and that always helped me because from a very early age, I think that's one of the most important things which I kind of tell my kids. You gotta decide. You hear people in today's society always trying to tell people, "Oh, leave the kids do this." That no, listen. If you have a child,
Right.
and they're strong in a particular area, and you talk to that child, and you encourage them and try to get them in a direction where they can be successful.
Right.
One of the most detrimental things you can do is waste time as a child.
Yeah.
The reason why I had an advantage, the reason why I was able to play for West Indies cricket team at 20 years old, be nominated as one of 3 players for World Young Cricket of the Year
Wow.
at 20 years old,
Wow.
is because from the age of 8 years old, I knew this is what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So tying it back in, from the age of 14 years old, I remember my music teacher crying, "Oh, we want Omari to go to Philadelphia, Daphne Jacobs." And I love her to death. But I'm saying at that time, I knew, no, I got a cricket competition that I need to go to. For me to play for West Indies, I need to make West Indies on the 19th team. And if I don't make West Indies on the 19th team, they're looking at another 13, 14-year-old in the next 2-3 years.
Right.
So I'm just trying to say, this is the kind of focus that you have to have if you want to be successful.
Yeah.
You gotta sacrifice your summers, but it's not a sacrifice. I wanted to do that.
Right.
I remember calling my Uncle Val. He was like, because my mother was supporting me in both of them. But she was like, Omari, you could do both of them. You can't do both. At 14, 15, you can't do both.
Yeah.
At 14, 15, you need to decide what you're doing.
Lock in, focus.
You need to lock in, and that is time to take off. The plane has to lift off now. You know what I'm saying? So I remember calling my uncle, and I time to talk to my mother, and my Uncle Val, I mean, he was a former Anguilla cricket captain, and he's like my father as well, you know what I mean? So yeah, he spoke to my mom, and of course, I was gonna go on anyway, but I needed his approval to tell her, you know, that kind of way. So so I mean, but I just tied that into, from a very early age, I knew what I wanted, and that is very important. If you don't know what you want, the people who are successful in youth is because generally they're mature in their youth. If you're not mature enough, and you're mature enough in terms of where you're going, what you want to do, and make these decisions right now, that's gonna help you 10 years to come.
Right.
And ultimately, even when I retire from cricket, that's the key. Instead of me trying to prolong my cricket career for the next 5 years at 36, I jumped out at 29, 30. Hey, I was on the road 3 years later with Morgan Heritage, the Grammy winning group. So you have to be focused. You got to be focused, and you got to know what's the 10-year plan.
Right.
And yeah, I think that's the key.
That's dope. So did the drive, the passion that you have, was that something that was just innate in you, or it was something that was instilled in you by, your mom, your dad, the people around you? Because here in Anguilla, we don't understand that we are products of our environment, so greatness produced greatness. So that drive that you have, was it Omari Banks, or was it just, your mom, your dad constantly driving you, pushing you, and over time, because you had that push from in your earlier age, it just become a part of you to now push yourself later on in life?
Complex question. I think majority of it, I think has been innate.
Okay.
Because I'll explain the other part of it as well. Because I remember from as a child, my cousins would tell you this. When I wanted to motivate myself, it's gonna sound really conceited, but I used to say, "This is Omari Banks." If you play, when you as a kid, when you were going, you turn into Superman.
Oh yeah.
My Superman was myself.
Yeah.
And I say that in the humblest possible way.
Yeah.
But that's a positive thing, because I think one of the key things which society tries to do is tell us to dumb ourselves down and not take accountability.
Right.
When you take accountability, you don't look outside yourself, and you realize that I am the one who have to make those decisions. You realize that you're the one. You're your own superhero, man. Nobody can come to save you.
Exactly.
So that's one.
Yeah.
right? From that point of view, I always believe, and I've realized, even just now with music and whatever, that generally the things which come normal, that I see as normal to me, other people struggle with in terms of discipline and focus. That part of it. So that part of it. In terms of from my parenting, well, one, my dad has always been a focused person on what he wants to do in a creative. So I've seen that, but not like my dad ever sat down and told me, "Oh, you definitely need to do this." That was like, I do that with my kids now. But I mean, you know what I'm saying? So that wasn't it. My mom's side of it, and you gotta understand, my mom and my dad are very strong people. If you know my mother, Donna, she's strong. So growing up as a boy in that environment, even my mom, dad breakup, it was kind of a single parent environment. But so my mother was always hard on me. When I tell you hard on me in the sense of that, but I was hard-headed too. When I say hard-headed, never gotten into trouble. But my mother would have preferred me to do at a younger age, pay more attention to my schoolwork. I would focus on my cricket. I would read books on motivation. When my mother was going through her journey, even her spiritual journey, whether it be listening to Deepak Chopra or motivational books, I was reading in John C. Maxwell. I was reading that from the age of 14, 15 years old. So I'm trying to say, a bit of that came, not because my mother told me to do it. I started to read those books from the age of 14 years old to help myself in cricket. Straight up. I was like, physics, biology, French, none.
Forget that.
And I will tell you, I never got in a fight in school. Never think back a teacher, nothing yet. But everybody know, cricket playing on the park, Omari on the park. Straight up. You know what I mean? First man to practice, doing the most saps, doing the most running, practicing. But I'm saying, it's a focus. You know what I mean? So my mom, as I said before, when she was on her journey in terms of that, the discipline, I went on a journey with her. I remember her listening to these different motivational tapes and stuff like that. And I would listen to them and I could memorize them as a kid growing up. Just not, you know what I mean? Whether we can't, just just listening to them in the car. Listening to them in the car, sometimes repeating just because. So right at that time, I understood the power of subliminal conditioning. You know what I'm saying? So I also understood the power of psychology. And of course, the older that you got, being around sport and circles, sports psychology is a very important thing. You know what I mean? The visualization. I always did that. I do that even for my performances sometimes. You know what I mean? So the drive, as I said before, came from one. My parents, I've never been one to get a lot of compliments. Straight up. My father don't compliment me. My mother still don't compliment me. I just being honest with you straight up. No, it's as a kid, it felt like nothing was ever good enough.
I think it's,
in terms of that, and I mean that in the nicest possible way. Because that always, at a younger age, that drove me to want to do more to please them. Now I don't care. Now I just not that I don't care. Now I do what I gotta do with my conscience, driving me, the morality that they gave me, you know what I mean? And I make the decisions, but I'm not looking for their approval. I'm a man now. As a child, you look for that. And I think that's part of the growing up process. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I think there's a lot of value for young men in understanding that you got to make your own decisions and be accountable for them. So as a young kid, I was like that. I mean, although I wanted her to be proud of me, I still was doing my own thing. Always. My best friends would always say, I'm on your own trip, dog. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I going, and that's it. And to tie that back into cricket, and when I was 20, I was one of the first people that didn't graduate from high school. You know, I didn't graduate because I came to school too late. I was living West End sometimes. They had no paved road at them time. My mother come up in the valley and she got to go work, And this how it go. And I wasn't bad at it now. I reach school, I come school 8:50. Farm school class started.
Farm class on the over.
Reaching time for my first class, going to class. I ain't cause no trouble. Teacher like me, everybody like me. My band wants a band too, but I ain't focused. I know school. Not that I'm not focused. Not that I wasn't doing it if in the class or doing the work. But I could honestly say that when I was in high school, I don't think I studied 6 days.
Wow.
Ever. I'm telling you. I'm not telling you a joke. It just
Right,
it literally
right.
was just.
No, I'm laughing.
I'm telling you this honest to God truth.
Yeah. And the reason why I'm laughing because the system that we're in, man, it puts so much emphasis on, college and all that stuff. And I'm not saying that that's not a bad thing, but if you really look at life and look at the people that are in the creative space, look at the people that are running the world, these are
Put a pause on it.
Yeah.
You go to college, you take a loan, the loan come back out 80,000. Now you're on the debt, you're on the rent.
Exactly.
From time I think I never had a loan yet until recently.
Right.
Never.
Right.
I'm just trying to say, I'm not saying there's not value in education. Yes, there's value in education, but maybe if you're a doctor, engineer, or something, and and you come out, if you open your own business, because if you're working for government, what I'm paying you? Yeah. $2,000 a month?
Right.
They can't pay me that.
So Denzel Washington said, never allow your schooling never allow your education to get in the way of your schooling. Right?
Of course.
Did I say that right? I think I said that right. But in other words, what he's saying is that not because you finish school means that you need to stop learning.
Yeah, education ain't finished.
Exactly.
Education continues.
Exactly.
Of course.
So we think that it's about, getting a degree and all that stuff. Yes, be qualified. Yes, be the best that you could do, the best that you could be. But Elon Musk, man, Bill Gates, all these guys, all these YouTubers and stuff like that are raking in millions. They don't even have like a college diploma, a college degree.
The system of education is set up to keep the system going around us.
Correct.
You're just a peg, just going around. And as I said before, I'm not saying that there's no value to education. There is. But you got to know what you're doing with it.
Right.
And you know how to know how you're going to position yourself in that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
And at the end of the day, you got to know what you're willing to sacrifice for. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's simple mathematics. Anybody who goes, my last diploma was in primary school.
Yeah.
I bet they give it to me a couple of years after that.
Right.
But I'm just trying to tell you. But if you could do maths, if you could do maths well enough, if you $80,000 loan plus the interest on top of that. And if they're paying you $3,000, how long you gonna take to pay for that?
Yeah.
And how long you gonna take to be able to make some money to be able to put up front to be able to purchase a house?
Right.
So you do the maths that way and you decide how you want to live your life. And then coupled into the fact that when you go work in these things, in these certain roles, you're not even necessarily able to make a real contribution.
Right.
Because that's why you're just in the pecking order. And then, how can you contribute to your society? Because sometimes, a lot of the time, you feel kind of claustrophobic and you can't make a real change.
Right.
Because there's such a hierarchy to it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, hey, everybody got a choice to make because some people are better, finding it a little bit better working in those environments, and some people are followers and some people are leaders. And I mean that in the humblest possible way.
Of course.
You need everybody to make things go forward.
Yeah.
But I mean, for people like myself and yourself, we have a vision how we want to live our lives and a certain amount of freedom and a certain amount of accountability we put on ourselves.
Right.
We take our wins and we take our losses and we live with them.
Yeah.
And when you're willing to do that, you don't just follow the norm. And it takes a certain amount of maturity and a certain amount of confidence to do that. It ain't everybody got that certain amount of confidence within themselves to say, I'm going to go this way. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to take my losses. I'm going to take my wins. I'm going to take the risk. I'm going to put up my money. I'm going to risk not having a job during COVID.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And lose, but then we're going to make it back up and then we're going to be cool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It takes a certain mentality. If you're happy to just go along with whatever, you get whatever results.
So what would you tell the young person that, are listening to this podcast and they're hearing your story, they're being inspired by how locked in you were as a youngin', a teenager, a young adult, they want to grind, they have an idea of what they want to do with their life, where they want to go, the things that they would like to accomplish, but they don't have what you just mentioned. They don't have that self-confidence. They don't have that mentality where it's all or nothing. It's go big or go home. You know, what would you tell that person?
It starts with knowledge, information.
Yeah.
First thing you need to do is you need to develop yourself in the product what you're providing. So at the end of the day, the first thing I do I say, you don't have to like me, but when you hear me play the guitar, when you hear me sing, you can't deny me.
Right.
Whether it is playing for 5 people in a restaurant, or when I go on the road,
Yeah.
400-500 people, or if it's a festival, a couple thousand or whatever.
Right.
At the end of the day, you gotta be able to have something that people can look at it and say that's valuable.
That's dope.
So when you create value within yourself,
Yeah.
every single day I wake up, take up my guitar, I listen to music, I work on my vocals, I practice, I market, I do what I have to do within the sphere of what I do. But I try to become a better version of who I was yesterday.
Right.
So you have to improve yourself. When you improve yourself, that's it.
Yeah.
When you improve yourself, you're creating value. Because literally, that's what life is about. It's about trading your value for whatever assets or resources it is you want to acquire. So
100%.
at the end of the day, that's what I do. When I go to whether it's a private event, a concert, or somebody's restaurant, or
Give it your best.
whatever. I didn't just give it your best. You provide a certain value that they have to that they need. When you provide value, then it's you're not giving me anything. We're sharing our value. You bring a value to me, I bring a value to you.
Yeah.
And I think that's at the end of the day, in terms of being an artist, whether it is here in Anguilla when I go out on the road, that's what it is. You know what I mean? You're taking a risk,
Yeah.
you're marketing, you're going out there. But when people hear you, they need to say, this is something that's valuable.
Yeah.
Creating value in yourself as a business, as an entrepreneur, as a musician, anything you do in life, that's the key.
That's awesome. I like that. So at this point in your life right now, and then considering your journey, would you say OB has found his purpose? You know, or when did that light bulb go on where you was just like, yo, I feel like I was born to do this thing. You know, I feel like this is my purpose. You know, to play music, to inspire people. You know, when did that light bulb go on for you? And like, how old were you, or and on what was the timestamp for you?
I mean, when I was doing cricket, I felt that was my purpose. So I mean, I think my purpose basically is in kind of, for me at least, has been in line with my career choices are what I see, what I want to do.
Yeah.
Because my purpose ultimately will be, I'm not the person that, I'm not gonna go to a job which if I don't want to be there.
Right.
So when I was playing cricket, my purpose was cricket. Every day I got up, eat, drink, sleep, cricket.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That was my purpose, to become the best cricketer that I could be, and how I could inspire others, how I could contribute to the team, how I could make this into something which everybody, not everybody, just myself, and I can become who I want to be through the medium of cricket. In music, it's my purpose. My purpose in music is to, one, create music which I believe is fulfilling to me, and I believe that the world is a better place because of it.
Right.
Better place in the sense of the messages that I'm pushing out, and just how it's touching people's lives. I mean, one of the most important things to me is that when I play a song for someone and they can say, you know what, I can remember when I was listening to this song when I was going through this particular thing in my life, and I was listening to the song and it helped me get through that point in my life. I think that's part of the purpose, and I think ultimately, a lot of people in today's day, they get into music or what are they doing just because of money.
Right.
I think that at the end of the day, it's about passion. And as a kid, as I said, my favorite time was a ball, a bat, and a guitar. And I fill up my time doing the things that I'm passionate about. I was passionate about cricket. I'm passionate about music. And the only thing I think about when I get up in the day is, how can my music affect other people? How can I contribute well? How does it fit into who I am as a person, morally? And how can I reach as much people as I can within the scope of the morals, which I believe who I am as a person.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, that's my purpose, to touch as many lives as possible with my music.
Yeah.
And of course, I mean, the family is at the helm of it. I mean, I've got 2 daughters.
Yeah.
Who I mean, I'm so proud of them. I don't even know where to start with that. I mean, from since they were kids, I brought them in kind of a musical incubator. You know what I mean? psychologically talking to them,
Yeah.
inspiring them in different ways without them knowing.
Right.
So that's ties into definitely my purpose. I mean, one of my proudest achievements is being able to encourage my own kids. Because one of the hardest things you'll find when you have kids, right?
Yeah. Two.
Two. How old?
I have a 5-year-old and a 8-week-old.
Congratulations, my brother.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, but I would say you would know, and you find even more. One of the hardest things to do is to especially get kids to do. Yeah, I mean, just to sometimes just focus and do something that you want them to do. When they're kids, because sometimes kids just want to do whatever,
right?
And it's not always about focus. But I mean, the fact that I'm able to guide them into music. They love music as well. But loving music and wanting to learn and practice music is two different things.
Correct.
And to get good at music, especially the level of a good musician, you have to practice music.
Right.
You can't just, bam, badim, bam, bam. No, you have to practice music.
Right.
You got to practice your skills. You got to get your dexterity up. You got to practice you got to understand the theory.
Right.
But when you're teaching them, if you're teaching them with love, or you teach them, when I say with love, with a love and an appreciation for what they're doing and an understanding of what's up, it kind of comes around. It's not always easy, but it comes around, and it's a beautiful thing, especially now, to see where they're at. You know what I mean? So that kind of ties into my purpose. One of my biggest things I always say is to give them that.
Yeah.
I realized that the gift of music, them being able to play an instrument at the level that they're playing it right now, that's a ticket for them. That literally is something they can always say, my dad give us this.
Right.
More than money or anything, they can go out there in the world and say, I have this.
Yeah.
And it's a source of income as well.
Right.
They can create music for themselves, or they can go out there right now, whatever, and say, okay, cool, I want to go and I want to play in this particular space. They could be paid for it or whatever. But just even if it's just a case of them just being able to express themselves.
Yeah.
I know many people who wish they could play an instrument.
Right.
Because music is something that it touches you in the heart.
Yep.
It touches you in the heart. And when you can express yourself on an instrument, for me, that's one of the most beautiful things ever. I love to play. And when I can express myself on an instrument, for me, there's nothing like that. I think I was telling someone the other day that I think if I started to play guitar as much as I did in terms of learning the scales and stuff like that from an early age, I'm not sure I'd play cricket. I could say that now how I say it, but I'm just saying the amount of joy that I get
from just playing.
Right? No, I mean I feel like I've got two different lives in the sense that I find so much. Usually when people finish with sports and whatever, they gotta go. They get a big belly, they go up on the park and or whatever they go, and they talk about when they used to play. No. I get to do something that I love.
Right.
And keep getting to strive towards where I want to get and keep getting to pour life into other people.
Yep.
Feel like you're making a meaningful contribution, not just have to reflect on what I used to do. No.
Right.
This is what I'm doing right now. And
dope.
that's a beautiful thing. And I look at it every day and I give thanks to the Most High, because I think at the end of the day, that's one of the most important things that we can do. We can just ask the Most High for health and ask Him for strength. I don't ask for anything material. I don't ask for anything. Oh, God, I want you to make me playing for the Turtles. No.
Right.
Give me safety. Give me health. Give me strength, and with that, I can move forward.
Yeah.
Sometimes we ask for too much.
Right.
Because sometimes what we ask for, ain't what we necessarily need.
Right.
Not saying that we don't need the big house, the lot of money. We don't have to limit ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Go for it.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to say, play for strength, pray for guidance, play for things which are out of your control. You know what I'm saying? In terms of your work ethic and in terms of going for goals, you could do that with yourself.
Yeah.
Whether it is, you know what I'm saying? Just play for health.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
put it simply. Play for health, strength, and safety. Because sometimes things happen without you. Know?
Yeah, if you go down, man, everything goes down with you. You know, you can't be creative. You have nothing to give to the world if your body starts to buckle and crack. You know, so definitely got to be praying for health and safety.
That's it.
And I think people overlook that, especially going back to what you said. Like, if you want to pursue purpose and if you want to become something of yourself, first of all, you have to become a person of value. You know, I go certain places here in Anguilla and I listen to people speak. You know, it's almost like they have no disregard for themselves as a person.
Absolutely.
You know, they're just going around in circles. They're not advancing in life.
Yeah.
They're ignorant. You know, they and you can just tell, as scripture says, that from the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks.
Absolutely.
What's in you is going to come out, regardless of what clothes you're wearing and all that type of stuff. So definitely, man, I really appreciate that. For the person that's listening, for the person that's tuned in, that's watching this, the first step is becoming a person of value. And then with that, you start to develop some kind of a self-confidence. But going back to Omari Banks, what was, because we all have it, what was the darkest time in your life? What and how did you navigate that season? Because we all got the 2016 was that was my darkest time. That was my year. And what was it? How did you navigate it?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I have to think. I mean, I would imagine, for thinking about darkest time, I don't know if it was dark, because I guess generally speaking, I think I'm a very philosophical person. I try to have a positive outlook, and I'm not trying to be disingenuous about it. I just mean, I think the hardest moment for me was of course, yeah, just when you're moving on from my time in cricket, how, you know what I mean? Yeah, just
that transition.
Yeah, the transition period, you know what I mean? How people view you,
right.
How people, you know what I mean, treat you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just even right now in Anguilla, that's why, I mean, I'm focused on what I gotta do. But a lot of who I am came from just a lot of the experiences, in the sense that I've realized that, you mentioned from my time in cricket to music.
Yeah.
When I look at my different counterparts in different other Caribbean countries, whether it be Nevis, St. Lucia, and anywhere, when they play for West Indies, how they're recognized by their countries. And I've never been recognized by the Anguillan government, despite what you think, never been recognized.
Right.
That something something which has troubled me initially. It doesn't worry about me now, because I realize that it's just, these people are just for themselves. And no matter how much, and a lot of people who you supported,
right,
a lot of people who you complimented, who you supported, that when they have the opportunity to do something that would speak truth, not to do a favor for me, because they're not doing a favor for me, because what I have done, I've already done it. Yeah, they don't do what's right. Right. So that process has been something which I've had to get to a point in my life where I say, you know what, forget them. They are who they are. And sometimes everybody's road is not the same. Right. You know what I'm saying? So, of course. So that might be something where, you know what I mean, you go through different things, and your way to, what should I say, I don't want to make it say that destination, or your road travel is not going to be necessarily the same like anybody else. Right. And basically, in a nutshell, my road is maybe a little bit different to the people from the other islands. Yeah. It shouldn't be that way. Right. But I can't let that be a thing to keep me in a particular space all the time. I just know what road to travel. I know who to associate with. I know what to focus on. I know what to pay attention to. Right. And I just do what I have to do. Yeah. But so when you say a dark time, I think I don't let anything keep me in a dark space. Maybe there might be something which I do not like. And just know, if I don't like it, I'm going to tell you about it straight up, because that's who I am. Right. But it's not going to keep me in a dark space, because I'm the kind of person that I'm going for what I'm going for. Right. And at the end of the day, I'm not going to leave a particular situation stop me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I think that's key. But there've been many challenges, many challenges, and the challenges is a part of life.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, that's the story of Christ.
Right.
You know what I mean? You have a challenges, you overcome them. They say Hosanna, Hosanna, then they say crucify him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the story.
Yeah.
So I'm no different.
Yep.
You're
Nobody
no
is.
different.
Yeah. Nobody is.
We're no different.
Exactly.
What I meant to say in the sense of
Exactly.
that. Yeah. So when you understand that, then it's like it is what it is. You make a contribution. You pour into the cup that are around you. You focus your time and your energy towards the things which are meaningful to you, and you do it with your conscience and the love of God at heart. And at the end of the day, the chips fall where they fall. It is what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
So, just listening to your story, man, like I've realized that you have made intentional decisions throughout your life. Like you've locked in, like, hey, I want to play cricket. So every decision that you made was towards cricket, you know, and then you made that transition to music. I want to play music. Every decision that I made was towards music, you know. So talk to me about the power of intention and just being intentional. You know, how can we because I feel like there's so many people that do not understand the power of intention. For going back to the beginning of our podcast, where you were talking about how your mom intentionally recorded your first years, that now plays an impact and helps you kind of understand yourself, you know? So we live life and we just make any type of decision. And I tell people, I said, listen, God will save you from your sin, yes, but he's not going to save you from your consequences. So make good decisions.
Absolutely.
Be intentional about the decisions that you're making. And if it's not going to propel you forward, if it's not going to add value to you, don't get involved in it. Don't say it. Don't do it. Don't, you know. So talk to us about the power of intention and what did that look like for you, and how can this next generation be more intentional with their lives?
So for me, I mean, again, I've always been somebody who followed my own path. So tying that back into the youth.
Yeah.
I never always wanted to drink, smoke, or anything from my young age.
You made that decision.
I made that decision, and I grew up seeing my dad smoke. I'm not saying that I never smoked today up to this point.
Right.
But first thing, I'm always the person that says I don't believe I should be doing anything that I have to be dependent on, whether it's drinking or smoking. So if I want to have a smoke, I can have a smoke, but I'm not going to be smoking. I'm not out here smoking.
Right.
Got to get up in the morning, I have to have a smoke for me to start the day.
Right.
I have to have a drink. I don't have to do any of it at all at any point in time, period.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So that's one, in terms of understanding that you can live by your word, you can make the decisions in your life that can positively have an outcome on you. So that's accountability, right? If you want to be intentional about something, you have to hold yourself accountable, right? So that's one. But another thing that I always did was I try to write down my goals. Again, it comes back from when you read and all this stuff. When you write down your goals, visualization, I would write down. I would have in my room different placards. I got out.
And how long you've been doing that?
I've been doing that maybe 15, 16
years old.
Yeah, up to now. I mean, I would have a book. I mean, I got all the books home even still. I mean, in my house right now, they're all over my home. In my kids' room, my kids got affirmations. Somebody actually is a champion. What you feed your mind with determines your characteristics. When you fall down, get back up. Somebody actually is an African. I mean, I have different affirmations, how I want them to shape their ideology.
Right.
Which they say every single morning before they go to school.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying that's one thing I do on this side. But for me, I've always had, whether it be affirmations up my own, Omari I'm a winner no matter what.
Yeah.
All these different things I had from cricket.
Right.
I would always do that in music. I would have these stuff. I would write things down, even when it comes to my bowling action or my batting stuff. I would write things down and how I want it. So being intentional about what you want to do, and then you go to practice and, of course, videotape yourself. When I go on my gigs right now, I would go videotape myself and listen to my stuff. Being intentional of what you want to become. But at the end of the day, you have to know what you want.
Yeah.
So once you can be intentional when you know exactly what you
What
want.
is
So
it you want?
what it is what you want. So that's one. And just what I always did too, because even when I came into music, I kind of, we talk about getting outside. You listen to a lot of the American thing. I choose different artists who I like in this style. I remember when I came back into music, I was like, yeah, if I'm doing reggae, I'm not gonna be just no reggae artist who just sing.
Yeah.
Everybody doing that. I can be a wicked guitarist.
Right.
I don't see nobody who do that, and a good singer. You know what I'm saying? So I had like John Mayer, George Benson. So I always looked at people outside of the genre of reggae music who were kick-ass musicians and vocalists.
Yeah.
So I put that, and the thing about it is I pride myself on doing things that other people can't do. I don't care who you be. You can't just pick up no guitar tomorrow and play like me. Straight up.
Right.
I ain't asking, I'm telling you.
Right.
Pull up next side of me and come here, come play and sing like me. You might have a man that might be to play like me.
Well, he can't sing.
He can't sing me. Man may be sing, but it takes time.
Right.
This is time.
Right. And
when we talk about that separating, as I say, the sheep from the
goats. And I mean, you are your own person. You are your own individual, and you are your brand.
Absolutely.
You know, and I talk about this on a podcast where it's like you don't ever have to feel like somebody could copy you because they can't. You know.
I don't worry about that because it takes time. I'll tell you a story. Like I remember just the other day, I find it funny. It's kind of cute. This kid he came to see me play. Young guy from Anguilla. He just he say, yeah man, I love. He sound good, man. He say I started playing guitar in July. And he said he getting good. In 3 years I can be better than you. I was like, oh nice.
Yeah.
So I say so I was like, but I say that because it's great for kids to have something to aspire to,
right? And
want them, in him having in the idea that he wants to improve and get better. I mean, that's good. You should be ambitious and you should want to be excellent. That should be it. And other people have inspired me the same way, and I thought that to myself. But I'm saying the other part about the accent. So when you ask you practice, you say, yeah, or practicing a lot thing, but I ain't practice as much for the day. I say, okay. The difference with me is the type of intention. When I say I practicing, I don't play. I talking about every step of the day.
Yeah.
I wake up in the morning, I put in a certain amount of hours. I go to the gym. I come back home, I practice. I pick up my kids, I practice with my kids. We talk about what we gotta do. We go together. Whether it's a go carry them for something to eat, ice cream, do something nice. I go on my gig, I play, I practice. My kids, they come home, they do the da-da-da-da-da. I come home, I watch something, I practice. I'm trying to say, it's all good to have a goal.
Right.
But unless you are actively putting in the time and playing the time, that $10,000 rule, that ain't no joke.
But the thing is, people need to be intentional about setting goals, first of all.
Absolutely.
If you're not intentional about setting goals, then you don't know exactly what it is you want, and you won't be able to go after it. You know, so that's dope. So OB, who has been who were your biggest inspiration? You know, who was the guy, who was the poster on the wall for Omari Banks? You know, besides your dad, besides maybe
music or cricket, which one?
Both. Yeah. Who was that for you? Who was your biggest inspiration?
I got a lot. There's a lot. I mean, in cricket, growing up as a kid, I wanted to be Brian Lara. I'll tell you another joke. So when Brian Lara broke the record, there was a record of 300. He broke Gary Sober's record in 1993-94. And he scored 375 runs in Antigua. Yeah. Right? I used to get my mother every single time she go by the video Dynasty in the Valley to rent that VHS tape. Right? I used to watch it over and over. I used to grow up saying, just like a young kid, I got broke Lara record. Yeah. Right? That was my goal as a kid. Right? My Uncle Val took me to see my first test match in 1995. I got to see Lara walk on the cricket field at ARG as a child. 8 years later, I was playing on that field with Brian Lara. Right?
So you had visualization.
Wait now. Playing with Brian Lara. Yeah. I didn't break Brian Lara's record on that field. Yeah. But as a team, we broke the record, which is still a record today, of the highest total in the history of cricket being chased down. And Omari Banks was batting not out, 47 not out. Google it right now, still a record, the highest total in the history of cricket being chased in a test match, 418 runs. So I'm saying, the road of life is funny.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If I were prayed, maybe I had prayed, Lord, make me broke, Lord record, but God had other plans.
Yeah.
We broke the record as a team. I'm just trying to say, you gotta be intentional, you gotta work hard, and sometimes play for health, play for safety. And as you mentioned before, be intentional. Go towards your goals, go towards your dreams, and that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, just do the best you can do.
Yeah.
The best you can do means you gotta prepare.
Right.
And preparation is key. That's one of the most important things you can do.
So you had the positive visualization going on from even a youth, because no, you would have been on the field, you would have felt the energy, you would have felt the vibes. So that memory stuck in your head, and that memory played over and over again, that caused you to be on that field playing 8 years later. You know, and I mean, that's amazing. That's dope. Coming down to the end here, man, I'm just curious. You know, I see you in public, I see you on Instagram, I see you doing your thing, and I am always interested in knowing, you know, what's people's spiritual journey, you know, where they are in their spiritual journey, because you have to have relationships, you have to have those hard conversations with people that don't necessarily believe the same things that you believe. And it's also interesting to hear their perspective on a particular topic, you know, a particular issue. So what does Omari Banks believe? You know, who is God to Omari Banks, the Most High? You know, I know you did that song, Educate Us, you know.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So for me, as we started the podcast, I mentioned to you, I was brought up in the whole, as I said before, in the Christian paradigm.
Yeah.
In the sense of course, yeah, the Bible and all the principles and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But as I grew older and I started to wanting to know more about myself and my people.
Yeah.
As a Black man in the Caribbean and just an understanding of history.
Right.
I started to delve deeper. And I remember after researching and reading a few books, I mean, I was brought to tears, because they're just like myself, like yourself, and so much of us here in the Caribbean, we were brought never to question, never to try to find out. It's evil, it's of the devil, it's of this and of that. But as I started to research in history, and you realize about whether it be Alexander the Great or the different countries and what happened in North Africa and what happened in the slave trade and all these different religions before and after, you realize that we're more the same than we are different. And in a lot of cases, what really happened is the story is written by the conqueror. And when you even just if you read the stories of the Bible and you get a deeper understanding of history, you understand the stories are passed. A lot of stories are passed down, and people see the Most High and God in every culture, around the world.
Right.
And the more we understand, in my opinion, that how similar we are, and the power of God is within every people, and not just because you culturally you see God one way doesn't mean that you're gonna ultimately burn in eternal fire. This is my opinion. But basically having a love for humanity, and basically just the principles of the different belief systems. You know what I mean? Whether it be what they believed in ancient Kemet, Christianity, Buddha. I think all of them have something in common where it's about morality. I mean, I'm not studied in every single religion, but the more research I've done, I realize that more or less everybody's trying to find themselves and trying to find God in their describing that from the cultural incubator
Right.
that they were positioned in. So For me, I've decided and I've made a conscious decision basically to see God through nature and life, and realize and respect everybody. I think one of the greatest examples are reflections of God is loving your brother, loving your neighbor, and appreciating
Right.
people who are different to you, who may believe different to you.
Right.
And that act is an act of God, an act of love.
Right.
And I remember having these discussions, with with Pastor Gums when I was on my journey of discovering,
Right.
getting more. I don't want to go into too much detail, but I remember having these conversations, and a lot of the time, they're deep conversations to have, but that's maybe for next time.
Right.
But I think at the end of the day, through all my analysis and understanding of history, it's just understanding that some people came, especially as us as Black people, we were conquered. We had our own cultures, systems, belief in our ways of seeing God, and we were brought here to the Caribbean, and our people were made, and a lot of them were killed to believe different. And if you believe that they gave us everything bad and try to kill us, but the only thing they give us good is a religion, we have to use it. I think we could use our own wits to understand that. Yeah, I think God is inside of us, in all of us, but we just have to try to try to see the world in a way that is a lot more wholesome, and how we can all live together to express the love of God. Yeah, that's how I see it.
That's awesome, man. Because even for me, I've had my own spiritual journey, and I don't particularly believe a lot of the same things that the members of the clergy here in Angola probably believe. Like I view things from a different perspective.
Right.
I love Jesus, and I know we could, if you want to trace back history, that name was a name that was given.
Right.
Yeshua, if you want to call him Yeshua, for sure you see him popping up in different texts and in different historical accounts. So I am in him, love him to die. And there was a period in my own life where I too were brought to tears, by realizing certain things. And I have come to the realization that if we stay in this paradigm where you are thought to think a particular way, not think for yourself, you are limiting who you are and who God created you to be. Because for me, just growing up in the paradigm that I grew up in, the structure that I grew up in, and this is not only with my family and stuff, but just church in general, and going to college and meeting different people and having different conversations and growing up and thinking for myself, I realized that, as you say, God He is of all and in all. You see Him through everything. You see Him in everyone.
Absolutely.
The arts, entertainment, philosophy, science, like He's there. But if you don't have the lens, you're not going to see. If you don't have the eyes for it, you're not going to see Him. And the initial paradigm that has been, passed on or that has been built up, it kind of keeps us from really being persons that fulfill purpose. You have one life to live, and you could live that life, being connected to the Most High, being inspired by the Most High, impacting lives for the Most High, introducing people to the Most High, by the value that you're giving to planet Earth, So what I do as a man of God, as a pastor, if you want to say it, is just try to get people to understand, like, it's bigger than this box.
Absolutely. And a question: have you ever, at any point in time, checked out our research, the Council of Nicaea 325 AD?
I've came across it in Bible college, but not in depth.
Go check that out.
Yeah.
Check out the Council of Nicaea 325 AD.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of these days we could have and also check that out. And if you get a chance, check out there's a a guy called Ray Higgins.
Oh yeah.
If there's one thing that you heard of him,
I've heard of him. Yeah.
Check out Ray Higgins.
Interesting guy.
Check out the Council Nights here, 325 AV.
Yeah.
And check out Yosef Ben Yakanan.
Mm-hmm.
You ever heard about him?
No, I never heard about him.
Yeah, check out like in Dr. Henry Clark. But yeah, these are a few people, historians. Some of them he was one of a pastor, of course, at one time.
Yeah.
But a lot of people who, they even from the historical point of view,
right,
could But I mean, there's a lot. Nobody knows it all and could answer all the questions.
Right.
I think at the end of the day, it comes back to who we are as a person, how we treat people.
Yep.
Some of the nicest people you could ever meet are people who, you know what I mean, don't necessarily subscribe to a particular religion, but they have the love of God within them and how they treat people and how they, you know what I mean, just the love and what they give. And I think it's through our actions and our deeds to speak more than what we identify with. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the thing about life.
Yeah.
You know, because the cycle of life is that we live, we die,
right.
and ultimately what matters is our contribution that we make while we're here,
yep.
and the legacy that we leave behind when we leave.
Yep.
So it's a bit of both. What we do with our time here, and how we are viewed. I mean, maybe sometimes history views us different, depending. But I believe maybe that in the long run, that if you do good, ultimately history will speak kind of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So what's next for Omari Banks?
A lot, actually. But I've been working so much. I've got a lot of songs already recorded, and I have a new album basically that's finished.
Nice.
I can say now that
18 songs, 16 songs?
I'll put it this way. I've recorded over 30 odd songs over the past 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm thinking for the album, I might have maybe 14, 15. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out. But right now I'm in the process of just figuring out the business side, who I'm going to distribute and release it through. And different people. And because I've had 2 albums before, but this album is, the whole intention is to kind of even just do it in have a broader scope of reach for the album. So I want to make sure that I'm connecting with the right people in terms, when I say connecting with the right people to market and distribute the album. So I'm really excited about it. I've got some international collaborations already on the album, and just excited to just create music, which I believe that one reflects my heart, reflects where I'm at musically, and which I'm happy to perform live. I mean, ultimately, music is about expression, and the place that I'm at right now in my life is, I want to just play music that I want to play.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
It's not about, you just create music and how much people, it's about music that you feel comfortable with representing.
Right. 100%. Man, thank you so much for hopping on the podcast, man. Appreciate you so much for taking the time out being here. You just listened to the Doing the Major podcast, episode 4, sitting in Studio B at the Dim House with none other than Omari Banks. Listen, if you like the content, subscribe, like, share, and definitely do not forget to do it major. Peace.
So I had to take it from you because you don't want it. I'm gassed up on ambition, feeling so atomic. You about to hear me 5 ways like it's pentatonics. I see your drive is kinda weak, it's like